gotta go. Girl talk.
Ooh, hard in. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special Thursday night edition of Gotham City Tonight. I am one of the hosts here. I'm Ryan Doell from the farm in the middle of Canada, in the middle of winter, and it is very cold, but I love it. I'm happy to be here. We got a return. Oh, maybe it has been way well over. When? Okay, I'm thinking for some reason in my head, Alice, I feel like you were here in October, but you weren't.
Well, we did Joker. No, not Joker. Something else. What did we watch?
Wolverine Deadpool.
That's right. We did Wolverine Deadpool. So I briefly showed up one time in my little hermit phase while I was off, huddled away in a hole. I did show up one time, but I feel like aside from that one time, it might have been several months.
It doesn't feel that way. I feel like the year has gone by. Because maybe I see you outside of work.
It's true.
So maybe that's probably it. But
yeah,
so happy to be here. Happy that you're back. And also,
yeah,
you're almost at 50 issues of your comic. We'll get into those plugs at the end of the show. Awesome. We've got two guests with us tonight. Sorry, Craig, you're going to have to be last. We got returning back the second time on the show. He came on during X-Men 97 when that was rocking and rolling. And man, what a riot that was. But now you are back, Stefania. Superman
Hey.
fan. Hey, welcome back. How's it going?
Going pretty good, pretty well. Just been kind of relaxing since con season's over and taking it slow with social media stuff, but I'll pick it back up in the new year for sure. But I'm excited for Superman. A lot of people love my Supergirl cosplay, and I did a post today with a few photos from a photo shoot I did with her, and I'm just hyped to see where this DC journey is going with James Gunn.
Yeah. Now I'm curious if they're going to do a Daily Planet Airbnb, and you might get an invite to that one too.
That would be so sick. It would be. I wonder where they would do it. I'll have to, you know what? That's a really good idea. Like Airbnb is going to, I don't know, listen in on your conversation, or they're watching right now and they're like, oh, that's a good idea, jotting it down.
You know what?
Stole
If
your
they're
idea.
going to do it, they should do it up here in Canada, but do it as the Fortress of Solitude. Or find a farm in Kansas, right? And then do like a Smallville Airbnb.
That would be sick.
And if they want to keep it with DC, to do a tropical island where there's women. Or actually no men will like that Airbnb as well, which would be even fun. And then if you do go to New York and then do something, or Los Angeles and do like one in the worst neighborhood, and then that can be Gotham.
So Jersey, it's actually New Jersey.
Yeah, we're up in Jersey. But you
literally on the license or not license, license card, whatever. In the Penguin. I didn't finish it, but I remember I saw like what's his name's license, and it said New Jersey on it, and people were like, "Oh, it's in New York, guys, in New York," and everyone's like, "No, it's Jersey." It literally says on his license.
And there is a Jersey outside of Gotham City.
It's very it's just very confusing, I guess, once you just talk about it more. You're like, where is it actually? Everyone's saying Jersey, but now I'm like confused.
Yeah. Because I still get confused over the geography of DC, where it's like, is Fawcett City Los Angeles? And then it's like, but then where does Fawcett City sit? Is that like central, United States? I have
no idea. It's all like a blur to me now. I'm just like, they say what it is. I'm like, okay, they're there.
Yeah, right.
That's the name.
That's it. I just roll with it too. Star City, Seattle. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Craig.
Hello.
Top-selling pre-order author on Amazon.
Yes.
Not just one book, but two books of the same deal.
Yeah.
One is a deluxe version.
Gotta have a deluxe edition.
It was really fun. I don't know if you even clued in, Craig. The top 3 pre-order sales or order sales on Amazon was your book, which was the visual history of Real Ghostbusters.
Yes.
Deluxe. Then it was the art of Across the Spiderverse.
Yes.
Then number 3 was the regular edition of the visual history of the real Ghostbusters.
Yes. And this has to be annoying to a lot of people that toy anxiety has so much influence over the literary sales on Amazon.com. No, yeah, it was really cool. Thank you for having me. I woke up this morning early. I was excited about the trailer. I want to be. I love. I don't know everybody here super well, but one thing about me is I love starting a new collection, even if it's movies. So I'm all in on the DCU from the top. I haven't started Creature Commandos yet, but as far as the movies go, I'm all in.
Yeah, it's
So super excited to talk about it.
I have also not started Creature Commandos yet. For those who don't know, up here in Canada, to get Creature Commandos, we have to get cable again, like it's the Stone Age, and then subscribe to another channel through your cable service.
It's ridiculous.
In order to get Creature Commandos. And I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to wait till it streams on something real. And that's what I'm waiting for.
I'm going to gift you whatever this is for Christmas. I'm going to send you a channel. I don't know how to do that. But I'm going to send it to you.
You're going to get me subscribed to another cable service.
Yes.
Oh, God, let's not do that.
He's going to gift you a VPN so that you can set your computer location to the US and then you can watch it. You know?
That's cheap. That's like probably $5 a month. So
yeah,
you can do that.
That's cheaper than StreamYard.
StreamYard's very expensive these days.
Yeah. What
so
the heck?
we should probably look into splitting our accounts.
Yeah, maybe we should. We should probably figure something like you get a super deluxe one and then just split it.
Well, I've got whatever the top tier one is, and it's over $100 a month now.
Yeah, I think I got the middle grade one. Here we are. We're getting into the backstage minutia of streaming.
Yeah, this is why everybody's here to hear about what pricing plans we're on.
Yeah, everyone learn. This is how we do things here. We're just gonna go off the rails very quickly. Let's hang on. Before we even get started in this, let's say a quick howdy do to everybody in the chat. Thank you for being here on our not regular night. And you chose to be with us, hang with us. So thank you very much. Mr. Johnny Disco, Dora Laxian is here. Yes, it is a Thursday. Thank you. Mr. Mike Davis is here. Johnny Cock, yes, please go watch it. The Culture Vulture, 81. And he did go watch it all within that time. My benefactor, Mr. Matt Bush, Craig's benefactor too. What day is this? This is Thursday. Yes, thank you. Shondo Gecko is here. Luis Balateros, I think I'm getting closer. I must be getting closer to pronouncing that correctly. Cougar McGillicuddy is here. Tony Johnson. Carl is here. New York City figure fanatic. Oh, thank you for being here as well. Johnny Sock Rocker, Michael Miller, Tony Toponi, and William Rodriguez, Chad Stewart, Jace. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, no, this is great. Let's get into this. I woke up pretty early to catch this as well because it was like an early Christmas gift. Let's just go. Let's do roundtable of everyone's first initial thoughts after watching it. Steph, you want to guess? Well, you go first. What got anything get you hyped? Were you down for it?
So I'm sure you saw my story earlier, but the one thing that really caught my eye was when Superman saves the girl in front of that debris, but it's like the way it was shot and that slow-mo into he gets into the shot in slow-mo, it was so well framed, and I love the color of the trailer as well. And it was your first, I guess, show of Superman saving a kid in the trailer in the movie, first thing you see, which was really, that's kids love Superman. That's the whole why kids growing up, your favorites were Spider-Man, Superman, all those big names, right? So that was really the one shot that caught my eye. And then, of course, like the cameo of characters that we're going to see in the movies as well. But that really drew me into like, oh, this is Superman. Like, this is actually Superman here. Not that Henry Cavill did a bad job. Love Henry Cavill. But like, this is a new take. Not a new take, but like, I don't know how to explain it. You know, like where I'm trying to get at here. Like this is Superman. Like that right there.
Quintessential Superman.
Yeah.
Well, he's saving people. You know,
exactly.
That's what Superman does. Yeah.
And this shot's wild too, because it took me like the second viewing to realize that was a foot that came down and hit all those canisters.
Yeah.
Right, because you're just so like everything. There's a lot happening in this trailer. There's a lot of like thought going on. No, it's super awesome. Craig, I know you were excited about this trailer as well.
Yeah. No, yeah. Well, the first thing, so after I watched the trailer, I went back and watched the original teasers for Superman Returns, the Brandon Routh movie, and the first teaser for Man of Steel, just to kind of a basis of comparison. Three very different looking movies. Obviously, we haven't seen this one yet, but Man of Steel. I like Man of Steel. It has some really cool stuff in it. It's definitely a darker, more rugged, maybe slightly less hopeful version of Superman. James Gunn's been really big in the media right now, just kind of talking about how this is a movie about hope and optimism, which, you know, state of the world, arguably worse than ever, depending on what lens you look at it through. So I had a nice emotional reaction to the trailer. You know, I'm a huge James Gunn fan. We're a James Gunn household, right? So I love all three Guardians movies. I think Peacemaker is one of my favorite pieces of, you know, comic book influenced media ever. And I just thought, you know, I know we'll break it down and get into it, but no complaints. I thought the music, it was emotionally manipulative. The music, you know, using the guitar version of the John Williams score. It's like, of course, like, there's certain scores, like I really like the Tim Burton, Danny Elfman Batman score, but I also love the Dark Knight score, and I love what they did in the Batman. I feel like the John Williams Superman score is the Superman music in the way that the John Williams Star Wars music is the Star Wars music. So I'm totally cool with the music. But yeah, just very, very well done. Great visuals. The kid with the Superman flag, planting it down and saying Superman, like there's something almost religious about Superman in general. And by the way, I have not watched any of the, you know, all the way back to Lois and Clark and Smallville and the newer iterations of Superman on TV. I've heard good things, but I can't compare it to any of that. But as far as like Superman on film, I think we're in for something possibly very, very special. So I was very impressed.
If you are going to catch any of the shows, Craig, I am going to highly recommend an animated one, which is also very new, called My Adventures with Superman.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It is so good. It is super fun. One of the best Lois Lanes ever.
Okay. I would watch that. Yeah.
And John Yerkeba's in it as Jimmy Olsen.
I love that. I love that.
He doesn't play Jimmy Olsen, but Jimmy Olsen kind of plays John Yerkeba. It's really kind of funny.
Well, John Yerkeba, I don't think he would be not to talk too inside baseball because he's just a good friend of ours, but Jimmy Olsen is his vibe in general. And that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. And it's his birthday. Happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday.
Alice. Yes, I made you do homework. Yeah.
I came prepared. I watched everything.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I loved it. Craig, you brought up the TV show. So I kind of, and I talked to Ryan about this previously when we were waiting for the Superman trailer to drop. My childhood Superman was Smallville. Like it would be playing on TV when when I came home. And I kind of feel like this why do I keep thinking? Why my head is filled with Spider-Man. Sorry, this Superman is returning to that boyish charm that I kind of get from Smallville, and it's like a different kind of Superman. You know, it's less. He's still clean. He's still put together. He's still Superman, but a little bit kind of that guy next door vibe that I think Henry Cavill doesn't. He's a little bit more intimidating because he's so like, you know, manly.
Yeah.
And I really loved the trailer because I like that it opened on a really quiet note. You know, a lot of trailers these days are like action shot after like quip and comedy. They're trying to grab your attention. They're trying to like be like, watch us. And I liked that it was a big opening with like a boom, and then it was just quiet. It was just the sound of him breathing, and you can hear his breath like rattling in his lungs. And I was like, that's how you know it's gonna be good, because they know when to like take it down a beat, and then you get into the action that we all know and love, you know.
Yeah.
I would love to add to that the fact that I absolutely love how they use minimal dialogue in this trailer and just music and sounds to push the story. It leaves more to the imagination of what is happening in that scene, what you can kind of like picture will happen. And just letting the score kind of take over. And you're put in this world where like you listen to the score, you look at this Superman who's wearing the red underwear, classic with the yellow symbol in the back of the cape, and you're like, this is actually Superman. Like we're seeing, like you said, a boy charm Superman. And it's just exciting to see.
Yeah, you always know you're in trouble when a trailer starts explaining to you what's happening.
Yeah.
Where there's a
Not a
voiceover
good
like,
side.
this is Linda. She was bitten by a spider and things
Yeah.
did not go well or whatever.
Yeah.
No. Also, like, one thing is, as somebody who, not to date myself, but I turned 40 last year. So I have now grown up through different iterations of Superman on film, different iterations of Batman. And it's interesting because each generation is getting their own kind of, you know, there's going to be people who go see this movie who have never engaged with Superman media before. And it's going to be the introduction of that character. James Gunn said he didn't want to do an origin story because everybody, you know, knows the Superman origin, which I'm fine with. But even like the one thing that jumped out at me as a late stage millennial or mid stage millennial, looking at Corn Sweat was his Clark Kent haircut, which is a very modern, like Gen Z haircut. I don't know what that haircut is called, but you see it out there. I couldn't pull it off, but I really enjoy it. It's kind of like a mop top shag, kind of like broccoli flowerette. Wasn't expecting that. Really liked it. Yeah, and I was like, oh, cool. Let's let people, you know, 14 and 15-year-olds who are going to go see this movie, or even kids, like identify with somebody. Listen, I know there's a lot of people out there talking about Christopher Reeve today, and that's great, but that movie's almost 50 years old, and we have to move on at some point. And I think this might be it.
Speaking of his hair, like it being like this big curly mop, and I think that really, because when you see him like walking through the crowd for the first time in the trailer, he's kind of just bumping into people, being Clark. You would not look. You could look at that guy and be like, "That is not Superman," like
right
at all.
Yeah.
And what's also great when you see a close up of Superman, he's still that curl now makes perfect sense where it comes from, because it's just him slicking back the hair, except that one piece that falls down. So now he has that natural curl.
It's pushed back.
It's just pushed back. Yeah.
I will say, sorry.
Oh.
I will say, David Cornsweat did Clark Kent me because I went to the Superman documentary premiere.
Oh, cool.
It was fantastic, by the way. I highly recommend watching that documentary because I think it's probably my favorite documentary I've seen in a very long time. Definitely very emotional too, as you can imagine. But no idea that this man was there. Okay. My friends and I were just this was at MoMA in New York. and we were just standing in like the lobby area in a circle, just chatting, whatever. And there was like the corner of my eye, there was this person leaning against a wall across from us, and I didn't want to like stare at them, so I would do like quick glances, and I was like, "Why does he look so familiar?" And he didn't have like glasses on, whatever. He's just a suit and his hair, black hair, whatever. And then he walks by because I guess somebody came out of the bathroom and then they left. Walks by, and I look, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that's Superman!" And he was there the whole time for like the 5 minutes that we were chatting, and I was like, he was alone too. I was like, I could have went up to this man and I could have said hi and just like chat with him about this documentary and asking why he was here. But then my first instinct was not to go after him, right? It was to turn to my friends and be like, guys, did you know David Cornsweet was right there? And two of them were like, yeah, we met him upstairs and we took a picture with him. It's like, why didn't you tell me? Like,
Only you lost out.
no, really. And then one of my friends was like, do you want to go out so we could try and like find him and get a photo or whatever? I'm like, yes. So we go out. There's a line of black cars just on the street now and nowhere to be found. He's nowhere to be found. I'm like, he's in one of these cars for sure. And they're all tinted. And he's probably just like looking at this person that's going like, where's this man? Yeah. But yeah, I never got to meet him. But yeah, he Clark Kented me.
That's
for sure.
awesome. And he Batmaned you too.
He did Batman me too. Yeah.
No, that is
Speaking
awesome.
of hair, though,
Mm-hmm.
sorry if we're still on the hair topic. What do you guys think about Lois Lane having dark hair?
Oh, 2 thumbs up from this guy.
I love it.
Yeah,
love it.
I knew she was the perfect Lois the moment she started doing that walk. She had that, and I was like, yeah, that's Lois Lane. Holy shit, that's Lois Lane. That's all it took. And I was all in. She's like one of my favorite characters in comics. And already I was just like, and again, no offense to Amy Adams. Amy Adams is great in a lot of things. But Amy Adams to me was still not that I don't know, the swagger. She didn't have that swagger that Lois Lane has. Where she walks into the room and commands it.
I've thought about this too because I've seen Amy Adams have that in movies. Like I've seen her be a kind of a powerhouse. I like Rachel Brosnahan. Is that her name? I guess I know her mostly from House of Cards. But she's great. And like, this teaser served a very specific purpose, which was to show all of these people embodying these characters in small bits. And we won't have a really great sense obviously until we see more trailers in the movie. So it's more about like the feeling you get overall. And I know we'll talk about it, but I thought you want crypto to work so badly, but you have that I've had that thought of like, how do you pull? I feel like James Gunn's the person who can pull it off because he gave us, talking raccoons and trees, and you just bought it immediately. And it to me, it just worked because it's like there's something so, you were talking about kind of the boyish charm of David Cornsweet and like what I mean, just a boy and his dog being rescued by his dog. It's like so heartwarming and like so kind and gentle. I just loved it. Yeah. So
also Marvelous Mrs. Maisel was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So I know that Rachel's gonna be a fantastic Lois. I love that show so much.
Hang on, I'm trying to find a good screen with crypto and all his
in all of his glory.
All his glory.
The goodest boy in the world.
Oh.
It seems like, Ryan, I wanted to get your perspective. Like, it seems like the trailer was a perfect balance of a lot of deep cut comic reference while also having mass appeal, which is like kind of that fine line you have to kind of walk.
And when they nail it, like I feel like Spiderverse has always done a good job of this. where it is like there's so much in there for the hardcores and the people that just love the deep dives and have been reading for anything from like the last 5 to 50 years of comics. There's something in there. There's always like a nod to something. And it just makes sense in that world because you're going through like multiverse stuff. This one in particular is not a multiverse story. Thank God. Well, hope it doesn't go that way. Right? We don't need any more of those. And this just they're hitting all these right spots because, like you said, like we got Guy Gardner in this, we got Hawkgirl in this. We kind of get to see all this stuff. Like we haven't even gotten into Lex Luthor yet, but like even the stuff with Crypto and he's wearing the cape. Like, man, this is the kind of shit where you're just like, I never thought in my day, like we would see Crypto in a movie with a cape and then played straight.
Right. Well, you have to play it right. Like you have to. It can't be like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like you just have to.
But that's what movies like even MCU is like that with so much stuff.
Right.
Right. Like, well, they'll have something kind of fun and they kind of still like, it's like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of thing of like, I kind of remember that. Then they kind of like,
well, I don't want to go too hard on our friends at the MCU, but if you look at the majority of Marvel movies are made by or a lot of the last phase they hire younger directors that they can boss around and have full control over. Right. And this is James Gunn, who has more credibility as an actual comic book fan than James Gunn, and he runs the studio. He co-wrote he wrote the movie and now he's directing it. So like he's putting it all on his shoulders, but it's like, who else would you want? Like Ryan, remember when we first learned that he was writing this movie? I remember early on I was like, oh, there's no way he's going to kick off the brand new DCU and not be in full control. So I'm so happy he directed.
Right. I remember James Gunn said specifically as well, like, I'm not going to direct, I'm going to pass this on. And then I was like, I believe you, James Gunn. He lied to me.
Oh, he lied. Well, okay. James Gunn doesn't lie, but you can't take most of what he says publicly for, at 100% because things change.
Hey, I want to bring something up quickly. I'm just going to derail the conversation, though it's all in the same thing. He did an interview with Collider this week, and he was talking about how they're not going to rush these movies out for the sake of rushing movies. I don't know if anyone else saw this clip. Yes. And if there's one thing that Alice and I know and we've seen within our jobs, he kind of pulled the curtain back. And it kind of had me go, oh, well, I guess he's allowed to say that. Because he was talking about how it's like all these like, it just was a total shot at it's not just the MCU. This is the industry in general. This was the old Snyderverse way of doing things as well, to not Snyder's movies exactly, but just some of those movies as well. And he makes the comment of, we're going to make movies and these are going to be fully written and realized before we start filming.
Right.
Where a lot of movies now, because they have these like, well, we told the people that it's going to be out at this day, and they start filming on first drafts of scripts that are not finished. And he's even said, like, how many movies have we been starting filming that don't even have a third act?
Sure.
Like he said that verbatim. And I was just like, oh my God, he's calling him out. He's calling out everybody. This is the greatest day of my life.
Well, again, to keep with the derail, there's 2 movies scheduled for release for the DCU next year. So they're kicking off with Superman. And then next year you have Supergirl and Clayface, which I don't know if anybody would have won that bet on what the next 2 movies after Superman would have been.
It was not on my bingo card.
And then you also have the Batman 2, which is heavily rumored to be being pushed back to 2027. And if you are deep into internet movie scoopers like I am, Ryan knows that, they would have you believe that James Gunn actually really wants the Pattinson movies as part of the DCU, but Matt Reeves is fighting him on it. Listen,
Oh.
I'm not here to start rumors, but it's out there. So.
Actually, you can quote if there's any news media outlets here. You can quote this show.
Yeah, that's me, 100%.
You can quote
Gotham City tonight.
Craig Goldberg. Top selling author, Amazon author.
Well, we haven't even talked about the Sadie Sick rumor, but we'll save that for another episode.
So we can get into that at the end. What was great was him kind of like, because if anyone here who has worked in film, if you're watching live right now or in replay, I'm going to tell you right now, working on a movie where your studio gets rewarded the third act and you start working on it and there's no script and they don't know what they want, so you're just throwing things at the wall, it sucks and it's tough and it's a lot more work. And then it's an editorial's hand. And again, that was even called out during Love and Thunder when that movie came out, because Taika was him and the actress who plays Valkyrie, they were doing something for Variety or something, and she was like, they're talking about the scenes, that scene made it in the movie, that's a screw up. And he's like, I don't know. And then of course I remember working on that movie and it was like, wait a second, who's looking at shots? I'm watching him on Instagram Live and he's in the middle of the jungle.
Oh, Ryan came to burn bridges tonight.
No, I didn't come here to burn bridges. I'm just saying, like, all this stuff lines up. Like we see it. I'm not talking about stuff that. Hey, I'm not breaking any news. Let's put it that way.
I don't think Thor: Love and Thunder is not on most people's top. Most beloved.
Is it on the people's top 5 MCU movies of the time?
I think people might not even remember it happened. So.
Well,
yeah, it's very true. Because even my brother was like, I forgot that movie came out. I'm like, yeah.
Right? And it's funny because I was working on Morbius at the same time, but everyone remembers that movie.
Because it became a meme.
Bad.
Morbius was so bad that it became a meme. And I guess Thor: Love and Thunder wasn't bad enough to be a meme.
That's how bad Craven is that it's not even meme worthy. Like at least Madam Web and Morbius became.
The Venom movies are also Venom movies are made to be memes.
At least they're somewhat culturally relevant. Whatever.
I haven't seen Craven. I don't plan to see it until it's for free.
Yes.
So
free as in
free.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I'd only see that movie if it was some sort of Clockwork Orange, like they were prying my eyes open and forcing me to watch it. Kind of situation. But.
I did see Madam Web in theaters though. That was a waste of $10.
Oh.
Did you go in knowing that people didn't like it, or did you go in blind?
No, I knew.
Okay.
I knew. My friend wanted to see it, see how bad it was. I was like, I'm curious too, and I was just laughing the whole time. And then at the end, I just started laughing so hard.
I
really like the cast.
And she was like, "No."
I like all three of the actors. They're great.
Yeah.
Wasn't Isabella Merced in that as well?
Yes.
And now she's Hawk Girl. Yeah.
Now she's redemption tour.
Yep.
Right.
It's a good thing no one went to watch Madam Web. No
one will remember. Yeah.
We'll get Sydney Sweeney as Power Girl. Boom. We're set.
You starting rumors?
I'm starting rumors. Sydney Sweeney confirmed as Power Girl in the Supergirl movie.
Manifesting it.
James Gunn said Supergirl starts filming in a couple of weeks.
This stuff's coming fast, man.
Yeah. By the way, I was talking about those DC movies coming out next year. That there's also the Lanterns show,
right,
and Peacemaker season 2, and Matt Reeves said they're actively talking about Penguin season 2. So if you're a DC fan, you're about to have a really nice couple of years.
I want that Arkham series coming back. That's what I want. Well, hang on. I'm going to go back to this trailer here for a hot second because we haven't talked about this guy. Comic book eyebrow accurate Lex Luthor.
Put him in the superpower suit.
Yes.
Okay, I have feelings about this though, so I'm interested in what you guys feel about this.
Okay, go.
Does everyone like this? Because personally, Nicholas Holt doesn't look like evil enough for me. He kind of looks too like, I look at him and I'm like, oh, like, you know, oh, like, I don't feel like Lex Luthor, you know?
Gun.
And I'm like, he won't shoot me. He's, you know, he's just a little guy.
Oh,
I don't know. And this is totally like just, I think I've seen too many like comedy shows. Like, they're not like comedies, but like, what's that royalty TV show he was in up until recently? And he's also like in a bunch of kind of like comic horror, comic like action films. So I see him and I'm go, ah, yes, comedy.
And he was Beast in the latest X-Men run of
Right.
movies.
That's true, yeah. But he looks very different as Beast, so I feel like
Right. And again, still cuddly.
yeah, yeah, right. So I was like, it's just there's Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
I dig this. I think I just dig it because this is the closest we've gotten to a comic book accurate Lex. Like,
I do,
that is
yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
not animated. So this is where I get excited about that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, our last frame of reference was the Jesse Eisenberg, and I did not enjoy that. So I'm also not really qualified enough on like Lex Luthor lore, Lex Luthor, to have much of a he's pretty. What I like is he's pretty built, and he probably can stand toe to toe like with David Cornsweet as far as like height and build. So that's kind of interesting. I think he might have a kind of an intimidating presence. I can't wait to see more.
There is a shot, because you were talking about the armor earlier.
Yes.
There's a shot where I'm trying to find it. There's Mr. Terrific, which, by the way, he looks phenomenal. And there's a shot with him and these other like soldiers surrounding him, shooting him, and think Lois is sitting there crouching. And there's a bunch of these dudes in like armor that is purple and green,
Right.
like Luthor bots.
Yeah.
Like, but again, purple and green is also like the same. I know a lot of villains use purple and green, but
It's big.
Another villain that also uses purple and green that's not Luthor's armor or the Joker is also Brainiac.
Right.
So we've got lots going on here, like including that orb in the sky. Those are not the drones out in Jersey. Steph, do you know about those?
Yeah, they actually showed up here too.
Nice.
few. Yeah.
You saw them.
I didn't see them, but
Okay.
they were on the news.
Yeah, I haven't seen any yet. I'm pretty bummed. I would like to. I
I-
feel like it
the
kind of.
day that the day that it was like announced that they were here, my brother was just like looking outside all the time. Just he's like, I want to see them.
I want to see
I'm
those
like, they're
drones.
not right there. They're like somewhere else.
I feel like they kind of went away though. They were big news for the last couple weeks, and now we're moving on to Superman.
Right.
Um,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I actually laughed when that was thrown at his head because the impact of it, just the way his head moved.
Bonk.
It was, yeah. Oh my god, I should edit that. You know the bonk sound.
Yeah.
hey Ryan, as a Superman super fan, what do you think of the suit now that you're seeing it on screen?
Oh man, well, I liked it to begin with. Even those, I always know that when they show like leaked photos of like behind the scenes, no one's costume ever looks great,
Right.
right? Like it's just these aren't the right cameras that we're looking at. These aren't the right lens and angles we're supposed to be looking at this thing.
Sure. Right.
So now with everything seen how we're meant to see it, I think this costume is amazing. First off, I love the blue. It's got that very classic, like your grandfather's Superman blue. I don't know how else to really put it. Like this still looks like a modern version of Superman with all like the textures, and you see all those extra like sewing lines and just even how the symbol sits, and just it doesn't look like spandex, but it's still form fitted. It still looks modern. They're using classic colors, symbol on the cape. The trunks, right? A step up earlier too. Like it's hitting all those marks of like this is your grandfather's Superman, but it's also modernized. And I think this is like again, another perfect balance.
Yeah.
To reiterate what you said, what I like about it is how thick and sturdy it looks. Like, I think sometimes the iterations look, like you said, a little too spandexy, a little too thin. You know what I mean? I know we're trying to show his abs, but it doesn't need to be skin tight. Like usually that kind of thing. I know he's Superman, but it's like it's armor, right? It's like kind of like, but yeah, I like how sturdy and like real it looks. It looks substantial.
Right. Yeah, I agree, and I even feel like even with Cavill's suit, even though it has all those like textures, and I still think that costume is amazing. And granted, the man makes the costume as well. Like Henry Cavill helps. That one too. It still felt like at any point that thing was just gonna like split at the seams.
And by the way, I didn't realize how many professional filmmakers and color grading experts there were out in the world until today.
Yesterday.
Yeah, the color grading. People were like, "I hate the color grading." Blah blah blah.
I'm like, so glad you brought this up because I made a note. I was gonna be like, I gotta ask them what they think.
Yeah, I love it. I don't know what people are coming at.
I mean, yeah, it looks like my whole thing is like people just like in general, like the discourse over basically anything, but since we're talking about movies, like people get locked into like one frame of thought and then everybody just kind of like says the same thing. I saw a lot of today of the Snyder people just being like showing a picture of Henry Cavill as Superman and this one being like, this is the biggest downgrade in cinematic history. And it's like, Henry Cavill looks awesome as Superman. He looks fantastic, but did you watch the the movies? Like, there's a lot of components on what what makes something of quality, right? There's a chance Henry Cavill might be like just like the best looking like representation of like that. I won't get the era right, but that early to mid 90s like muscular Superman,
right?
With like the slightly longer hair and the more serious tone, and that's amazing. But like that's not what this is. This is something James Gunn is leaning on, 1970s like Silver Age Superman sci-fi, and he said today he's taking inspiration from different iterations of the comic and as well as the movies. So why would you want it to be the same? Like, I understand being upset that the Spiderverse isn't happening anymore. And if you really liked those movies, I get why you would be bummed. But like I said, like this is the new iteration. It looks great. A lot of people they just say color grading because it's a buzzword, but they don't. I feel like a lot of people might not actually know what they're saying.
That happens a lot on the internet.
It does.
People use words they don't quite know. They just use them.
Say it with their whole chest.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say is that I quite liked. So what I noticed, and I don't know if they did this by dyeing his hair or they color they edit it in comp for every single shot, but his hair is so dark and it's so blue. Like it comes across blue, right? Mm-hmm. It's dark to the point with, and I went back and I checked. I was like, is it just the color grading on the whole thing that makes all blacks look really blue? And I was like, no, the people in the background who have black hair don't come across like that dark. And what I really like though is I feel like classic Superman is often portrayed, comic books Superman is portrayed with blue highlights in his black hair.
Yeah.
And I was like, I feel like James Gunn is the type of person who would give a nod to that, you know what I mean? Because his hair is really like striking. Every time he comes into frame, I'm like looking at his hair like, wow, that's so dark. I'm like, but I think it's really cool.
James Gunn is just a nerd. Let's just put that out there. He's just a nerd who's very good at putting pictures into reality, basically. Comics into reality.
Yeah. You're right about that. And there's these trends, like, I don't know if y'all saw Wicked, but I saw it, really liked it a lot. But I noticed on Twitter, there was just a lot of people talking about the color grading, and they're like, why is it so desaturated and all that? And it's just like, I was talking to Jacob about it, Ryan, and he was like, the whole movie was pink and green. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's big and bright, and it is a little muted at times. I think people maybe in that case just are thinking of like the Technicolor reveal of Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz and how saturated all that stuff is.
They went in and edited it. Am I right? Someone fact check me if I'm wrong. But I believe the main complaint started when they released a trailer, and then in the next trailer, it got fixed. Like, it was more saturated, right? I don't know if they did that for the full film. I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, maybe they caved and was like, let's make it super bright, you know?
But it's just interesting. And a lot, like, film, like, first of all, Twitter's a nightmare in general, but I can't leave it because the discourse is so fascinating to me when it comes to just movie talk, where it's just like, these people come in at 9 a.m. this morning, East Coast time, immediately, like, either being like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, all the way to, wow, James Gunn is literally ruining my life. And it's just like, it's just interesting.
Hang on, I'm going to go back to the trailer, some of this bright colors. We get monsters in this too.
That's what I said. I was like, oh, kaiju.
Like, we've seen him fight monsters a lot, obviously in the comics, in Superman the Animated Series. He's even fought giant gorillas, and of course now there's a lot of crossover with Godzilla and King Kong in the comics. This to me looks super fun. Again, we don't have context for what this is, where it came from, if this is the opening battle to show Superman, or if this is like a plot device. Because this world is already kind of established, we're not doing origin stories. I assume we're going to see the Fortress of Solitude, because at one point he's hugging one of his robots. And if, for those who don't know, in the Fortress of Solitude, he has a zoo, a ark, as it were, of like Kryptonian and other alien like creatures in the Fortress of Solitude. I don't know how big this Fortress of Solitude actually is. I guess it doesn't matter. Comic logic is always fun. But
yeah,
I don't know. Just seeing this, it just made me pop, because I was like, this is fun.
Yeah, look at how tiny Superman is in this picture. He's so small.
He's so small.
Just a little guy.
Yeah.
I love the big contrast. I love daytime fight scenes in Superman movies. I just love like the blue sky. Like, it's such a contrast to Batman. And Batman's my favorite superhero. But I think my thing is I want it to work so badly. I want it to be great. So I was a little apprehensive. But again, like, I've liked most of what James Gunn has done, and there's so much riding on this movie. I just don't have this sense that they're going to do anything but knock it out of the park.
Right. And here's another thing too. This makes me really happy to see this in the movie. This is something that we don't get a lot in movies anymore in general. This is across the board, something I want back in Star Wars really, really bad. I want romance and kissing. And
just not with your siblings.
Just not with your siblings, yeah.
Star Wars is best.
Making that clear. But in this trailer, we got more than one kissing scene. Not only did we get this, there's a shot of her also kissing Clark. So I'm assuming that she knows who he is, or they're going to be doing a really awkward love triangle.
I hope there's a classic like Mrs. Doubtfire style scene where he's in a restaurant going back and forth, changing in the bathroom.
Yeah. I love that too. Hello.
The first one's easy because he just takes off, the outer shirt. The next time, that's harder.
Yeah, it's like, I always wondered that too, like how. Anyways, we'll probably see him change at some point. And I'm all, but I am.
Please make it in a phone booth. I know it's not relevant anymore, but just have one up here so he could go in.
It's the broom closet, right? Like that's the big thing, and he does broom closets. And the revolving door that spins really fast.
That's a good one. Yep.
That's a good. But again, I don't know where he's hiding the clothes within that time, because he's. You know what? Comic logic.
Hammer
I gotta stop
space,
thinking.
you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I like the
Yeah.
comic logic, and I think that's one of the things that might immediately set the DCU apart from the MCU, which is, the MCU really tries up until once they got into the saga and they started telling the Thanos story, obviously got much more cosmic, but it's pretty grounded. I mean, even the first Thor movies, like pretty earthbound, right? So,
Right.
this felt like a kind of all out, sci-fi comic book epic. But there's an intangible with James Gunn's movies that he knows how to strike the emotional balance correctly, and it's kind of a hard thing to articulate. Like, I remember when they first announced Guardians of the Galaxy, like I couldn't have rolled my eyes harder because I was
Yeah.
just like, I was like normal, cynical, like, oh, Avengers was so good, they're gonna screw it up. And then I saw Guardians, and I was like, oh, that was like the greatest thing I've ever seen. But it was even at the time like a little hard to articulate like why I liked it so much. And I don't know. I think he might
I
be
feel like
tapping into
the first Guardians was kind of game changer. I feel like a lot of movies after that mimicked, Guardians of the Galaxy almost too much in a way. I was always
yeah.
like, okay, guys, you don't get to do that. Okay, that's not.
Well, the first Suicide Squad, and then what was even this year that Borderlands? But was it Borderlands? Where it was
Yeah, complete flop.
where it was like, oh, this is like, they're even using some of the same songs for the Guardian soundtrack, and like,
Yeah,
the reason why the James Gunn like needle drops work is because like they're very intentional. He writes them into the script. It's not like a studio mandate or a group of people going, our testing shows that if you use this, whatever song
If you
from
use
whatever
Kiss from
80s.
a Rose,
If you use Kiss, yeah, we had great success with Kiss from a Rose in a previous movie.
yeah.
let's do it again.
Hang on. I want to show this shot off as well. I never would have. If someone told me this was Nathan Fillion, I probably would have said you're a liar. This doesn't look like him, but again, I think we talked. I know we dabbled a little bit about this version of the Justice League. You can see Hawkwoman there in the back. Man, seeing a Green Lantern again gets me really, really excited. Seeing this guy and knowing this is also a James Gunn movie, this makes total sense.
Yeah,
because Guy's just that type of. He's a douchebag, right? He's a bit of a dick, and I think they're gonna knock this one out of the park.
I am just so happy that Nathan Fillion is back in like all these movies. Like, there was this time where you didn't really see much of him, and I remember I saw him. First time I saw him was when he was in the show Castle. That was the show that I was first introduced to him. And then I didn't see him for so long until he did like that Rookie show on, what was it, NBC. I didn't watch that, but he was on there. And so he kind of slowly started getting back into it. I didn't know he was friends with James Gunn until he was in Guardians 3. And then I was like, oh my God, that's Nathan Fillion. Like, where did he come from? But now that he's back, he's working with James Gunn with Superman. I'm just excited for him, happy for him.
Yeah, same here, because he was in the Suicide Squad for a hot minute. Like, blinking, you'll miss.
Yeah.
But now because he looks so different, again, same universe, doesn't even faze me.
Yeah.
It's interesting too. I was thinking about the Suicide Squad. James Gunn has been talking recently about what is canon and what is not canon, and how he basically was like, here's how you need to think of it. Peacemaker season 1 and Suicide Squad are essentially like, it's not that they didn't happen, but they are like faulty memories of what happened, essentially, is what he's saying, where he's going to be able to kind of pick and choose. But it's like, eventually we're going to get Batman in this universe, and we're going to get Harley Quinn, and it's not going to be Margot Robbie, right? And so it's just kind of interesting that Suicide Squad, or his Suicide Squad, is kind of a little bit of a standalone, lost in the sauce. And I kind of sometimes, I remember Peacemaker season 1 so well. I kind of forget about the second Suicide Squad movie, and it's pretty good too. Like it's definitely like decent.
No,
I just don't think about it that much.
it's fun. Plus, he put Starro in it.
Yeah.
That's again
Hey,
one
I'll
of those
be
moments where I'm just like,
I'll be back in 2 minutes.
All right. I just want to give it. Well, let's do that. All right. Toy, amazing sculptor, by the way. This guy is like one of my heroes in superpowers, lore, and history. This guy's amazing. Toy Otter makes a really good point here. Pretty sure it's the Terrifics, not the Justice League. And I can't believe I didn't even think of that before, because that makes perfect sense. So for those who don't know, the Terrifics is the team that Mr. Terrific puts together. And of course, they all wear slightly matching outfits, which is exactly what this team is doing. I don't know how that never clued into me earlier. But I think I think Toyota might actually be spot on. That is not the Justice League, that's the Terrifics. I think that's freaking cool. Yeah.
Side note.
Yes.
The scene we kind of I was gonna talk about this when you showed the scene with the can hitting his head, but we kind of went away from it, and I'll lead it back since we're right next to it with bowl cut there. But I think it's the theme of like the people turning against the hero is like a very common, very like classic trope within superheroes. But I actually feel like right now it's very poignant and very like relevant because of all the news and the drama and the things about people talking about like how actors and things like that are people too, and like you shouldn't expect to be able to treat celebrities like they're not human and all that. And I feel like with like social media and all that, this is kind of more relevant and more like it hits closer to home in a way that previously maybe it didn't. So I feel like when this releases, and I still think it'll be really relevant in 2025, I'd be interested in people make that connection between, you know, the figureheads and like the crowd reaction and the expectations of a superhero.
Right. Well, the first time I think I ever really remember in my head, like outside of like the DC animated universe, where you see like the people turn against the heroes, was The Incredibles. Right? And how that whole origin story is, where it's just like, this guy saved me, but you're suing me, right? Like it's like it's all of that. And I feel like this is I'm curious to what the context is of this. Because again, we don't know. And again, with like, you've got these kaiju running around. I just had it like 1 second ago earlier. I should have just saved the timestamp for it. But there's also that like the orb in the sky. Oh, there we go. That was fast. Good on me. So you got the orb in the sky, which of course we saw as the first reveal of Superman in that poster where he's putting his boots on slowly while the world burns around him. But again, too, we don't know the context of this. And I'm wondering if people are, because he's alien, if people are blaming him for these kaijus and the Metropolis drones and all that other kind of stuff. I don't know. That's me.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's socio-political commentary always in superheroes. Although, I mean, my favorite thing ever is when people show their ass. Basically, when my favorite sentence I've ever read on the internet is, "I hate that Rage Against the Machine has gotten political." It's like or
I don't know what to tell you. Yeah.
I hate how they made X-Men woke. It's like, dude, what world are you living in? Like, it's been woke since like 1962 or whatever it's been. So, anyways,
right.
we live in a world, unfortunately, where there's just a lot of finger pointing to the other, whatever the other is, whether it is gender or sexual identity or race or religion. And people tend to take all of their bottled up aggression, and their untamed and untreated trauma. And not, I shouldn't say all people do this, but a lot of people do this, and they point at the other and say that is the problem, and then you have loud voices in the world politically and through the media who amplify it, and the echo chamber gets created, and it is, yeah, you know what, I didn't think about it, it is Superman's fault my life is horrible. Well, what's going, and I think that'll probably play a big part of this movie, but I think it'll probably go even further than that. I think they'll take it to another level, and I think it'll, I mean, oh god, you know what killed me is the shot of Clark with Pa Kent on the porch, and it's like just that relationship they have, and like those are always, like, even in the original Superman, the Richard Donner, like some of my favorite stuff is just that relationship with his Earth parents. Sorry, did you see? Everyone's commenting on my. Davey said I turned this into a very serious show. We know it's this is pretty darn serious. Okay.
Yeah, Superman is serious stuff. Okay.
But yeah, like, look at this. Like, what is this conversation? Why are they in tears? Like, how is Clark's resolve being tested? Like, what is his commitment to saving humanity if humanity is turning on him? Look, I mean, that is some of the best stuff that happened in the Snyderverse, right? Like Superman in handcuffs being escorted by the military. Like those are big concepts. I really like to see.
Yeah, no, and I'm totally with you on this. Like 100%. Comic books were all created from the very start as a social commentary.
Yep.
Superman start. That's why you see Superman, always on the side of the blue collar worker, even in Action Comics, like number one, like right from the get go. It's him always sticking up for the little man, that's getting stepped on. That's just who he is. And it's awesome to see. And what's great about the relationship again with Ma and Pa Kent is that without Ma and Pa Kent, you don't have Superman. Right? It's
right.
That love and care and attention that Clark was given is what made him who he is, and being that symbol. So I mean, I'm really hoping they go deep into this relationship, because again, I feel like even the Donner movie didn't really, they did it in a really neat, because again, they kind of showcased it as a way of Superman can't stop everything, because Pa Kent, the movie pretty much starts with Pa Kent having a heart attack.
Right.
And he can't. And, that's something Superman can't stop. And then.
Hey, listen, Ryan, not to interrupt, but one thing I know, if your dad is willingly walking into a tornado, you just can't stop it.
Right.
That's something I've always said.
And I'm glad you said that, because that's exactly where I was going with that. Because it was just like, that was the most annoying thing out of Man of Steel. Because I'm like, this is Superman. He would have faked a reason of why Pa Kent survived this tornado.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it was so weird.
But I love Kevin Costner.
I do love it. Actually, there's a great scene with them anyways. Outside of the tornado scene, which was awful and made me mad. That whole thing where he's just, he's talking, he's like, am I going to be able to save everyone? And he's like, well, no. Right? He's just trying to, like,
right,
do the right thing, but you can't help everybody. But that kind of, like, I don't know. There was some nice stuff there, but man, that
what I hope they get into is, a lot of the time in superhero films, the parents or the guardians kind of get like either left in the dark or like shoved to the side or whatever, so that the superhero can go be a superhero, right? Because a normal human being, if they knew their son or daughter was a superhero, would be like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like, be careful. You know what I mean? And that's not cool. Right. But I would love to see a little bit of that dive into, like, Pa Kent, he's like, he raised this boy and he's off saving the world, getting hurt. People hate him potentially, depending on where this happens in the film. Like, the relationship between, kind of the parent to the superhero, to the child in this, and like how that gets strained maybe, or the difficulties they go through like that. I would think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and you're right, because usually the parents are usually a catalyst of something else as well.
Yeah,
like, depending on what version of Spider-Man you're looking at, like it's either Uncle Ben or Aunt May. Someone has to die in order for him to be Spider-Man. Batman, forget it. Your parents stand no goddamn chance, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why so many of these characters are orphans, because it's usually a parent, like there's some sort of trauma catalyst,
right,
attached to the person. They again, Flash, same deal, right?
Yeah,
mother dies. Superman, yes, he lost his home planet, but he came in at such a young age that he never got to know his parents. So his parents will and always will be Mom and Pa Kent. So to have them living and still being there for him as an adult, I always think that's like super special, because not a lot of superheroes get that.
Yeah.
Right?
No, you're
like
right.
Wonder Woman, like she's made from clay.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna have to jump in just a couple of minutes. I did want to say
we're gonna start settling up here, because I think we
David
went through all of it here.
I will say David Cornsweet, that's his name. He's in that movie Pearl. He's pretty good in it, and he was also in Twisters. He's not really. He's kind of in the background, but he definitely evokes like the spirit of Clark Kent just in general, and I think that's really cool. Yeah, I'm super excited, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, is that your final thought?
It can be. I'll go all night, but I'm tired. I've been in the office all week, and we were up late. We watched The Substance last night, so I was up till like 2 a.m. watching that.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I was also put to like the limit of what I can handle, gore wise, in a movie. There's certain things, I won't go into it, but there's 2 or 3 certain things that will trigger me to like feel like I'm about to pass out. And it's not blood. Blood I'm good with. But Demi Moore was, and so Margaret Qualley, they're both amazing. So definitely recommend. That's my movie recommendation for Gotham City tonight.
Nice. I'm going to order some sashimi, and then I'm going to watch it.
Oh. No. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
That terrible idea.
Don't do it.
Yeah, Stefania, what final thoughts like about everything?
Anything?
Anything? Yeah.
Well, for Superman, final thoughts, I guess, is just there's a bunch of movies coming out next year. A lot of them I'm really excited for. This is the first time I'm super excited for a DC project, especially since like when all the Snyderverse stuff was coming out, I wasn't too into DC then. I did see them, but like I didn't go to theaters to see them. I saw them afterwards on TV. But now like getting older and getting, I gotten more into comics, Marvel more so. And then I got like into DC more. Now I'm like super, super excited to see Superman next year, and just like what James Gunn is going to produce out of this new DCU. I know he's very passionate about his comic book projects, and he's very passionate about getting things right too. So I know that he's going to do a great job, especially with what he did with Guardians. Guardians 3 is one of my top 5 favorite MCU movies because of him, because of like what he put into that movie and the franchise in general. So I have no doubt that he is going to succeed with this new run of the DCU.
That's awesome. Hang on. I just want to... Jerry Gaylord's here as well. Watching today, everybody. Thanks for being awesome, everyone. Awesome conversation. Thank you so much. Amazing storyboard artist for X-Men 97 and What If. Thank you for being here and hanging out. And also, before you go, anything happening on your socials? By the way, your socials are also linked down below. So if you want to
okay.
follow her on Instagram, if you want to check out her YouTube channel, that's also in the friends of the channel. So you'll find the link for that as well. You can find it there. Anything happening coming up for you?
Not at the moment, no. Like I said earlier, just kind of taking things slow. I'll probably pick up on content next year. I got into a lot of books this end of year. So like I don't know if y'all are familiar with ACOTAR and like the fantasy books and stuff like that. I was told to read them. I did, and I am now in a rabbit hole of just book fantasy stuff. And as a kid, I loved fantasy, right? You know, with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and Narnia and all that. And so this kind of brought my love for fantasy back. And I'm really enjoying my journey with it. And I stay up like till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning just reading because I'm like, I can't put this book down. So that's where I'm at right now. Definitely cosplay's coming for those as well next year, which I'm excited for. But for next year, we'll see. I mean, I hope to achieve a lot. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I'm trying to get to the Superman premiere next year if they do it in New York, because they've been doing quite a few things, Warner Brothers, in New York this year. And so with studios opening up in New York City as well, that's pretty awesome. Like Disney's new headquarters is there. So, fingers crossed for the next year. And also with like X-Men stuff as well, because X-Men is home for me.
Yeah, well, that first of all, it's great to meet everybody, by the way, or see Alice and meet you, Stefania. I want you to go to the Superman premiere. We all need to manifest that. So let's put that out into the universe. I wanted to ask, can we roundtable real quick? Because the rumor broke today from a very trusted source online that Sadie Sink is very much in the running to be playing Jean Grey in the MCU. And I'm not my opinion on this literally doesn't matter. Although I really like Sadie Sink and she's great in Stranger Things and she looks like she could play Jean Grey, but does anybody have an opinion on this that I can take with me and think about?
I didn't hear that rumor at all.
Okay.
I don't know if I just wasn't scrolling enough today, but I have not heard
it was
that
later.
at all.
It was like in the last 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't scrolled in the last 2 hours. That makes sense. I'll give you my opinion on it. Isn't she like, how old is she?
Okay, I was just about. It's so funny you said that. I had to Google it. I just went and Googled that. I was like, how old is she?
She's really young for a Jean Grey, especially because Jean Grey is supposed to be a bit older. She's one of the original X-Men, right? So Jean Grey, Cyclops, Beast, all those characters are supposed to be older.
Right.
So I don't know if that would be such a great casting for Jean Grey. I mean, she could possibly be, what's her name? The daughter, Hope. She could play Hope, Cable's daughter.
Interesting.
Yes.
She'd make a great Hope, probably, but age-wise, I don't think she's old enough for Jean Grey.
Yeah, I thought about the age thing too. The only thing I could think about is maybe they're really looking at the X-Men as the future of the MCU, and they're going to.
They must
map this out for 10 or 15 years or something like that.
Who I think she'd probably do a good job with is Kitty Pryde.
She's definitely a good actress. Like, obviously, Stranger Things. She was in that movie, The Whale. She's got the I don't like putting people down, but I think she's actually much better than like Millie Bobby Brown when it comes to just like acting on Stranger Things.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Oh, like
while that's being put out there, I will say I'm not that big of a fan of Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, Ryan.
Like her acting as well.
Don't say that in front of Ryan.
I don't like
Ryan.
her as an actor. Hey, I'm sorry.
Listen, she's great in Euphoria. Everyone's great in Euphoria. Everyone's crying and on drugs. It's the best.
I watched Euphoria. I live for the drama, live for tea. Okay, so I loved Euphoria in that sense, but acting wise, love Zendaya. Zendaya is my girl.
Oh yeah, we love Zendaya in this household.
Oh no, never. Zendaya is the top of the list with Euphoria. Okay, Sydney Sweeney though, I didn't like, especially in Madam Web. I did not enjoy her.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Yeah. No.
But what I will say, I think is interesting is that Sadie Sink does have a bit of a baby face. Like she has kind of, is this the new trend? Is more baby face actors? Because I was saying that, this Clark Kent is more of a boyish charm. And like for a while we got very kind of like, what do you call them? Not cat-like, but very like angular kind of, because like I was just looking up, I was like, who has been playing and to be fair, Jean Grey is kind of like that's kind of her thing. But all of the previous actresses have been pretty like, I don't even know what the term is. Do you know what I mean though? Like very like,
yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And I feel like that has been the trend for a lot of superhero girl. I don't know, maybe not Supergirl, but yeah, I'm like wondering if maybe this is a new trend of like preferred like more childish faces, if that makes sense.
Are they just hiring them young just so that they can make 20 years worth of movies?
Maybe.
I mean,
they
know
did the
for
New
me-
Mutants and they were all kids, kind of.
Yeah. I know my thing is I'm just like quite literally just getting old. So, I'm like the new faces of Hollywood, like Austin Butler and Timothy Chalamet. I'm just like, they all look like kids to me, and they're all super talented. I can't wait to see that Bob Dylan movie. I'm super excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
But way off topic. Superman gonna be great.
That's awesome. We'll keep going with the final thoughts and plugs. Alice, that final thought.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm like a lot of people in the chat was saying, I'm like hopeful, I'm like really excited to see this new era of Superman. I'd like a film that is also more hopeful, maybe more, less gritty to the extent of Snyderverse. So I'm really excited for that because I tend to stray towards preferring that kind of film. The really gritty ones, I'm like, I'm so sad. And so, yeah, I would love something with potentially a happy ending at the end of the trilogy or however many films they plan on doing. But yeah, excited.
Nice. And we have a link down below for All Haven Academy, your comic over on comictunes.com. We are on the countdown. You only have less than 5 issues to go before hitting issue 50.
Yeah, and a little pull behind the curtains for the people who for the 3 people who know me, because I showed up 6 months ago. I used to come out to the podcast, but the reason I've kind of been away and huddled up in a hole is working on the comic. And to pull back the curtains, I'm done, right? Because I finish these episodes in advance before they get up and they get released or whatever. And I finished the last episode last week, and I celebrated by sleeping approximately 16 hours, and it was amazing. So I'm having a great time now. I'm a little bit more alive. But if you do want to read it, it's season 1 is wrapping up soon.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And read it on your iPad or phone. That's what it's meant for.
Yes.
Yeah, none of this physical media. Yeah, no. It's great. Everyone, please go check it out. And then for Craig and myself, you can find us on Toy Anxiety every Tuesday nights at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern. And then, of course, you'll find me here every Wednesday. And yeah, that's really it. So with that said, have a great night, everyone. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you